Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA, from the Black Boule, in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about the Silicon Valley mob. Now, I'm guessing that this viewer wants me to talk about those guys who work in Silicon Valley in California in big tech and want me to talk about how they've basically formed a mob to basically keep foundational black Americans from entering the job market as related to these tech jobs. Now, when it comes down to these guys who are a part of big tech, they have been participating in anti-black racism for many years as related to the job market and foundational black Americans coming into the world of tech, and they have basically made it impossible for any foundational black American to get one of these good-paying jobs in tech and be able to make a living. Now, when it comes down to many of those in big tech, they will go out here and usually look to hire extremely what they think are intelligent white people, usually these computer nerds, and as they go out here and try to keep their empire going as related to tech, what they will do is actively look to exclude foundational black Americans from the process of getting these IT jobs. And this is something that I personally know because I myself have had a CompTIA A+ certification ever since 2009, and I was never able to get one of those jobs in IT as related to PC repair with my A+ certification, and wasn't able to get that because, one, these guys in big tech basically hide all the jobs and keep many foundational black Americans from knowing about those jobs, and then two, what they do is create a whole host of stipulations and laundry list of qualifications and keep that from keep black people from coming into this field. And they also talk about how you need to have a certain amount of experience even before you come on these jobs, and that basically shuts the door on a black person coming into these fields, even if they've gone out here and learned how to go out here and work with these computers the way that I have. Now, I myself, after taking this course at the Manhattan Educational Opportunity Center, I learned how to be able to repair computers, and I learned how to take them apart, put them together, and even learned how to build computers because right now I've gone from working with PCs, which is what I first learned how to repair, to then how to work with Macintosh computers, and currently the 2012 MacBook Pro I use to make most of my videos and do my video editing. That computer was one that I bought off eBay, I think for about $200, and I rebuilt this computer because I got this computer and it only had, I think, about 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it basically had a hard drive that was basically one of these 5400 RPMs, and I took all of that out and I put in a solid state hard drive with 1 terabyte of data, and I also put in 16 gigabytes of RAM inside of this computer. Then I also installed a new operating system into this computer, and I also have gone out here and I have more than one computer, and I use that computer to basically I built a network with my other computers. Again, I have been using many of my own of the IT skills that I basically learned in that Manhattan Educational Opportunity Center on my own SJS Direct business, and I have been using those skills for the last 10 years for myself because many employers out here, they don't want to hire a black man to work in tech because many of these folks who work in tech, they come into tech with a lot of racist ideas about black people. They think that black people aren't smart enough to be able to work on a computer. Two, they think black people aren't smart enough to know how to go out here and be able to not only repair these computers, but build them as well. And this is something I have done with many of the computers I have owned. I had an old MacBook Pro, the first one I had from 2011. That computer had the Wi-Fi card get broken, and I installed a new Wi-Fi card in that computer. And in another MacBook Pro, I reinstalled the DVD player after that DVD player got broke. Again, I know how these computers work, but many of these racists, they'll sit there and say, oh, this black man don't know nothing about no tech. No, he's not smart enough to know anything about tech. And they use this to close the door on foundational black Americans and as related to tech. And that's what the tech mafia does. Again, they look to close the door on black people being able to work in these fields and keep black people from being able to make that living where they could be a part of the middle class making those six figures. I mean, if you were to hire black people in these type of jobs, and they would be able to, again, be a strong middle class. But no, many in the tech mafia, they want to keep black people out of these jobs, and instead what they do is go out here and get themselves an Indian or a Chinese person with an H-1B visa and hire that person for half the price. And as they hire that Indian or that Chinese person and bring them over to America, many foundational black Americans like myself wind up suffering and struggling to be able to even make a living on a platform like YouTube. Again, another part of that whole tech mafia. That tech mafia basically has kept black people at hostage as related to economics, and basically kept many black people from being able to make the living we should have been making. And what further compounds this whole situation as related to tech, again, is that many black people who do know tech, we basically don't get talked about on social media. No, I had a Facebook friend who was in tech, and really I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was really good at tech. He knew his stuff, and nobody really talked much about that. And most people don't really talk too much about black people in tech. Now, in my book, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, one of the characters is in tech, and this is something I haven't talked about too much, but one of the black characters in this book is a tech character in 2000, but many people don't want to talk about black people in tech, and the people who are a part of the Silicon Valley Mafia, they don't want us to know about foundational black Americans who are in tech. No, they want to keep tech basically in the hands of white people and keep whites in charge of the tech, because they're the ones who own the companies, they're the ones who do the hiring, they're the ones who basically, again, control big tech, and they don't want you to see any black people as the face of tech, and they don't want you to see black people have these positions or the economic power that they have. Now, what's really scary about this tech mafia is that they're looking to encroach into the entertainment industry. Now, you have guys like the Ellisons at Oracle. They're the ones who bought Paramount, and they want to further go out here and buy Warner Brothers. And again, the mob, if they go out here and they keep closing doors on foundational black Americans, and they start controlling entertainment, what they can do is control the way black people are seen in the media and control how we are presented in the media at these big companies if they are able to do this. I mean, this is the scary part most people don't want to talk about. Again, they've basically shut black people out of these tech jobs, and they further are now looking to control the media and control the narratives of the media. That's what the Ellisons at Paramount and Skydance want to do. And they further, again, want to do this, but most black people don't know about what's going on. No, they're too busy using social media to go out here and participate in a gender war where they look to go back and forth with black men and black women. And what happens is that these companies like YouTube use the algorithm to keep us engaged in this gender war, going back and forth with each other, instead of focusing on fields like tech and focusing on things like computer science and focus on opening doors for black people. Now, I remember a YouTuber a long time ago. He had a degree in computer science, but he couldn't get in the door, same way I couldn't get in the door. Again, there are black people in tech, but this tech mafia basically, again, keeps many black people from being able to come into tech and coming in to work on these at these tech companies. And we have the skills to be able to do this. I've had the skills for over 10 years, and I have been, again, developing my skills not only to work with PCs like I did as I learned PC repair from a black man at the Metropolitan Educational Opportunity Center. He taught me the basics, but as I went on to work with my old Dell Latitude D830, that's an old computer from about 18 years ago, I eventually started working with Macs, and I started working with the MacBook Pros, and I learned all about the systems and architectures of that computer, and again, can basically take that computer mostly apart and put it back together. And basically, the MacBook Pro is a very delicate computer. I mean, the way the keyboard is situated, you got to be very careful with that ribbon cable. And again, there's a whole lot of delicate parts, so you got to be very careful with these MacBook computers. And I learned how to work with that 2009 to 2000, I think 15 architecture. Basically, again, know that architecture like the back of my hand. And that's the computer I've rebuilt one of these computers. I repaired two other ones. Again, the tech mafia again won't let a guy like me come into this industry as related to corporate jobs, and even the local guys won't let a guy like me come in and start doing repairs. No, they keep black men out of these jobs, and basically it's been foreigners basically controlling tech. And again, the white guys at the top like it that way because they don't have to pay high wages. They don't have to go out here and pay a black person $200,000 because they don't want to see a black person having any kind of money. They don't want to see a black person go out here and be living a middle-class lifestyle, shattering many of their racist narratives, shattering many of their racist ideas. They want to see black men at the bottom of the world begging for their daily bread, and they don't think that a black person is smart enough to work this tech. But the irony is that most of the black people online, we're the ones who create the trends. We're the ones who use this technology to go out here and shape the culture, because that's what New Black Media has done. New Black Media basically ushered in the end of the term African American, and now black people are being known as FBA. And New Black Media came on tech, but many of the tech mafia, again, don't want to acknowledge the power black people are starting to take on these platforms. They don't want to acknowledge the power many of us brothers and sisters are taking by using technology, because one of the reasons why many black people no longer even watch TV or are even concerned with much of these Hollywood celebrities is because black people on social media basically have taken control of our narrative, taken control of our voice, and what they look to do is silence a lot of us on places like YouTube with things like false flagging campaigns. And that's all, again, a part of the tech mafia, because they want to, again, control black people and keep us in a box where all we're doing is fighting in a gender war and not thinking about things like economics, thinking about things like politics, and that's what this tech mafia wants to do. I mean, these companies, again, as I see it, collude to keep black people from having a voice on their platforms and keep us from being able to, again, work in these platforms, because they don't mind us being entertainment, but they don't want to see us empower ourselves. They don't want to see us go out here and, again, take our power as related to our business and in tech. And again, this is something that they don't want to see. And the tech mafia, again, has kept black people from really actualizing our potential. And that's really sad, because it was black people who went out here and made many of the things that made a lot of this technology move. I mean, we had a black man who was the one who created the cartridge for the video game, and we wouldn't have video games if it wasn't for that black man creating cartridges and creating the business of buying games. And if it wasn't for a black woman, we would not have GPS that people use in their cars to be able to travel different places. A lot of this tech came from black people, but many in big tech don't want you to know about the black people who have made those contributions to the world of tech, and they don't want to see black people, again, gain any sort of economic advantage towards the technology we create, or the technology we invent, or the tech or the content we create on these platforms. They don't want to talk about any of that, and they don't want us to be aware of anything as related to that type of stuff. So they formed and created a mafia, again, to collude against black people. And that's what I believe is the core of the tech mafia as related to black people. Now, the viewer possibly wanted me to talk about this tech mafia and them controlling tech, but I see the damage they do to foundational black Americans in this country, and it really just makes my blood boil, because if it wasn't for black people, big tech wouldn't have much of the technology that it uses right now to create its so-called empire. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation for a minimum of $20 to the PayPal or the Cash App, and if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. And if you want to read more about the brother in tech that I wrote in my book, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, and how he was a part of the world of tech in the year 2000, you can pick up my book, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer on Kindle and possibly at other online booksellers in paperback. And that's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.